we'd like to talk to you about your heroes and inspirations, if that's okay. I suppose most people's first heroes and inspirations start with family and friends. Is that the case for you when you were young, growing up?
Yeah, my parents, of course, grandpa, grandma, those were like the first heroes, I think. Yeah.
And who was the person that sort of influenced you most when it came to football? Was there someone that encouraged you to play or guided you in those first few years where you started playing?
I can't really remember exactly, because football didn't really run in my family. So I was basically the first one who really took us, to a serious level. So that's actually it. I've never really had that talk with my dad, if it was my dad or maybe my grandpa, or maybe it was just me that just liked playing with a ball. So yeah, no idea.
Did they even support a team or have any interest in football, or was it they were completely?
So my dad, let's say during Feyenoord Ajax, he was a Feyenoord fan, and obviously the national team. But yeah, as I said, I'm really the first one who got the family into football. So.
And were they surprised when you sort of showed your talent and were really invested in it? Were they pleased? What was their reaction?
I think my dad realized that from an early age that I had a talent in football. At least that's what he told me. And yeah, he just my parents just always encouraged me to just to be myself and to just do what I love, and I love playing football. So yeah, that's all.
And what about is it your brother Jordan?
Yeah.
Was he a keen footballer? How did he help you when you were younger?
Yeah, so I mean, where I start, someone else had to follow up, and it was my little brother. Yeah, if we weren't playing outside, we would be just playing inside. We've had so much trouble breaking stuff in the house and everything. And yeah, getting into fights as well together. So we've really been through a lot together. He's had a different path than mine. Obviously, I started at the amateurs and really had to, work my way up to a professional team. Whereas he went to a professional team way earlier than me. And I'm just trying to be the best big brother that I can be. He's being the best little brother that he is. So, yeah.
And what about other sports? Because most sports people also admire other sports people in other fields. I mean, I think you're a basketball fan, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, are there any particular figures in other sports that you've been inspired by or you've followed the careers of?
So, I started watching basketball when I was around 15, 16 maybe. And it started because of obviously Michael Jordan and like the big ones, but the main reason why I really got into like watching actual like basketball and like really got my interest was a documentary by Allen Iverson, and he was like the first player that I saw, at least figured out that I was like, oh, he's different, so that's really he's probably the reason I really got into basketball.
And do you see any similarities with basketball and football? Have you used any basketball style to influence your own game?
It's not really a lot. I'd say maybe like turning away from your man is I think the only, at least for me, if you have someone behind you and you want to turn away. That's I think the only situation where football and basketball have something in common. The rest, no, it's not really the same, I think.
And someone told us that your dog is named after Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, Kobe. Thought Kobe was a cool name. So.
And he's another player that you liked?
Yeah, of course. Kobe's top 5. You know, Kobe is one of the GOATs. So.
Yeah. And is there anyone you like in the current game, like Steph Curry or anyone like that that you admire particularly?
Yeah, Steph Curry, of course. LeBron. But I must say I'm a big fan of Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic. You know, some of the newer generation.
And what about in football? Who were your early heroes in football? If your family members weren't into football, who did you look to for inspiration?
I'd say Ronaldinho was number 1. That was, you know, that was the guy you watched on YouTube, you know, back in the day, and then, you know, go outside and try do what he does. Ibrahimovic was one of them, but also all the players. Van Basten was also one of them. A lot of different ones, but I think Ronaldinho for me was probably the biggest inspiration for me.
You hear so many players say that about Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
He was quite futuristic in the way that he inspired a lot of the future players.
Yeah, he just brought that joy to the pitch, made you want to do the same thing. You know, I'm from the era where we didn't PlayStation, we just played outside, but YouTube was just you know, hitting the computers and everything. So, and I think he was one of the first guys that you had videos of him on YouTube. So that was probably the only thing we watched back then on YouTube. There were no other things to watch. So.
And your former manager, Thiago Motta, said that you reminded him of Ronaldinho. So how did that make you feel?
Yeah, that's probably one of the nicest compliments I've ever had, and that quote definitely has a very, very special place in my heart. So yeah, that's very appreciated by him.
And what about outside of sport and your family? Who else would you describe as an inspiration? Maybe a famous person or someone in another field outside sport?
Probably missing out on someone now, but I'm not gonna sit here and be like he is a big inspiration for me just because he's a big inspiration to a lot of other guys. You know, my dad, my mom, my family, that's my biggest inspiration. You know, that's about it, I think. Footballers.
What about in football? I mean, obviously you're looking for inspiration from other players and teammates, but what about the supporters in a stadium? Have you had the experience of feeling supporters in the crowd give you inspiration during a game?
If I'm being really honest, I'm just busy with the game, so sometimes I might not even notice it. But even after, you know, being down against Tottenham, and you know, one man less, and you know, still hearing the fans just, you know, trying to wind us up, is just yeah, that was for sure inspirational to see that there's still the support even in such a difficult situation, and you know, a situation that they really don't deserve, but you know, they were still able to just support us. That was, for me, incredible.
What's your sort of experience been in general of United's support? Obviously there's Old Trafford, which you experienced memorably on your Premier League debut, and then the away support at games elsewhere. Well, what's your general first impression been?
Yeah, no, it's incredible. Like even the away fans, the amount of people that travel with us is quite special. Until now, never really had the feeling we've really been in an away game, and the support here is the same. You know, every time you walk up on this pitch, you just see the stadium. It's like, yeah, it's just incredible.
Have you been surprised by sort of how fanatical United fans are? I mean, being around Manchester, you must get a feeling of it when you go to shops and people come up to you, and
yeah.
Has that taken you by surprise?
About the size of the club, yeah, it's really big everywhere. So yeah, that's something quite new to me. Bayern is obviously a very big club as well, but I think here, even for me personally, it lives a bit more. That's nothing towards Bayern. It's just from my experience. I have just the feeling it's a bit bigger here.